Welcome to the Inner Chosen. Let me ask you something that might stop you in your tracks. What if the person you're becoming is the reason this connection feels so intense? If you've been sensing that something bigger is unfolding, like fate is moving behind the scenes, then you're exactly where you need to be. Because in this video, you're not just going to be entertained. You're going to learn a lot. How to recognize the signs, what they really mean, and how to step into the power of this journey without losing yourself. So take a deep breath, settle in, and welcome. The Inner Chosen starts now. This connection doesn't feel like something you can casually label and move on from. It carries weight, like it arrived with meaning attached to it. And that's exactly why it lingers in your mind, even when you try to stay logical. You can sense it in the way your intuition speaks louder around them, in the way silence with them still feels full, as if something unseen is communicating underneath the words. It shows up in the way the relationship pulls you toward purpose instead of distraction. You start thinking beyond romance and chemistry, beyond "do they like me?" and into deeper questions like "why did we cross paths?" and "what am I being called to become because of this?" It doesn't just add sweetness to your life. It introduces direction. Even the timing can feel strange, almost too precise. Like you met them at a moment when you were ready to wake up, to outgrow old patterns, or to finally choose yourself. And when you look back, you realize the connection didn't just happen to you. It arrived at the exact point your life needed a turning. What makes it different is that it doesn't only feel emotional, it feels transformational. It touches your standards, your vision, your values. You start caring about the quality of your mind, the way you spend your time, and what you tolerate in your life. It's not simply love, it's refinement. And yes, it can be intense, because purpose has a frequency that comfort can't hold for long. If you've been feeling like this bond is bigger than the usual story, trust that feeling. Some connections are not meant to be easy in the way shallow things are easy. They're meant to be real, and real things change you. When two people are meant to grow, they will naturally press on each other's unhealed places. That doesn't mean the connection is toxic, it means it's honest. Their presence exposes the habits you've used to survive. Avoidance, control, people-pleasing, shutting down, and suddenly you can't pretend those patterns don't exist. You may notice that after interactions with them, you reflect more, you become more self-aware, you start catching yourself mid-pattern, mid-reaction, mid-defense. It's like the relationship turns a light on inside you, and once that light is on, you can't unsee what needs to change. The difference between growth and destruction is intention. In a destructive dynamic, pain is used as a weapon. In a growth dynamic, pain becomes information. It points to what needs healing, what needs boundaries, what needs communication, and what needs maturity. You're not being crushed, you're being shaped. This kind of connection asks for courage. The courage to speak when you'd rather disappear, to listen when you'd rather be right, and to stay present when you'd rather run. And the more you choose that courage, the more you realize that you're not losing yourself, you're meeting yourself. So if this bond has been triggering you, don't panic. Ask the deeper question, what is this revealing in me? Because the right connection doesn't just make you feel wanted, it challenges you to become whole. And when two people choose growth over ego, the relationship stops being a battlefield and becomes a training ground for power. When you're together, it feels like the air changes. Conversations flow faster, ideas land cleaner, and even ordinary moments carry a charge, like your presence amplifies each other's frequency. It's not about showing off or being loud, it's the quiet kind of power that makes people turn their heads without knowing why. You may notice opportunities appearing in unexpected ways. Introductions happen at the right time, creative sparks show up out of nowhere, and things you've been trying to manifest alone start moving with less resistance. It's as if the universe responds to the combined clarity of two aligned people and starts opening doors that used to feel locked. Even your confidence shifts, not in an arrogant way, but in a grounded way, like you remember who you are. You speak with more certainty, you carry yourself differently, and you stop shrinking your truth to keep things safe. Their belief in you becomes a mirror, and that mirror reminds you of your own strength. And that's when the connection stops being just a relationship and becomes a force. You're not only choosing each other, You're choosing what you can become together. The mission is the reason the bond feels so intense. It's carrying more than feelings. It's carrying responsibility, growth, and a future that wants to be built through both of you. If the two of you are meant to rise, life will test what you've built. Not because the universe is cruel, but because real power has to be stable. Tests come in many forms: timing that doesn't match, distance that stretches patience, misunderstandings that challenge trust, and outside voices that try to define your story for you. Sometimes the test is internal. Old wounds get loud. Fear tries to hijack your choices. One of you might pull away when it gets serious, while the other tries to hold tighter. And if you're not aware, you'll mistake the pressure for a sign to quit, when it might actually be an invitation to level up. Other times, the test comes through distractions, temptations, attention from other people, ego wanting to win, instead of love wanting to understand. Power couples get tested at the ego level because ego hates surrender. It wants control, certainty, and applause. But alignment requires humility, patience, and honesty. The key is how you respond. Do you communicate or punish? Do you seek clarity or create stories? Do you protect the connection or protect your pride? Every test is really asking one question: can you choose growth over reaction and truth over drama? And when you pass those tests together, you become undeniable. The bond becomes less fragile and more rooted. You stop feeling like you're constantly proving the connection is real, because the results speak for themselves: deeper trust, stronger teamwork, calmer love, and a relationship that can handle pressure without collapsing. When you come together in real alignment, your life starts moving faster, but in the cleanest way. Decisions become clearer, distractions feel less tempting, and you stop wasting energy on things that used to drain you. It's like the relationship turns the volume down on chaos and turns the volume up on purpose. You notice it in your habits first. You sleep better, you plan more, you take care of yourself because you're no longer operating from emptiness. The love doesn't make you lazy, it makes you focused. You want to show up as your best self, not to impress them, but because the connection inspires you to respect your own potential. Momentum becomes mutual. One person's discipline strengthens the other person's consistency, and suddenly you're both leveling up without forcing it. Goals feel achievable. Confidence becomes steady. You start thinking long-term, making smarter choices, and treating your time like it's sacred. Because now it is. Even your energy changes in public. You're calmer, less reactive, harder to manipulate. You don't chase validation the same way because you're building something real, and when two people stop arguing with their destiny and start moving with it, they become difficult to stop. That's what unstoppable really means here. Not perfect, not invincible, but aligned. You recover faster, you learn quicker, and you keep going. Because you're not relying on temporary emotions, you're operating from a shared direction, and that kind of partnership creates power that lasts. The more powerful the bond becomes, the more you understand the value of privacy. Not secrecy, privacy. You learn that not everyone deserves access to the soft parts of your life, the fragile beginnings, the intimate plans. Some things grow best when they're protected from too many eyes. At first, it can be tempting to post, announce, explain, prove, but powerful love doesn't need an audience to be real. And the truth is, when you give the world too much, too soon, you invite opinions, jealousy, and energy that doesn't belong in your space. You don't owe everyone a seat at your table. Privacy also helps you avoid performing your relationship, because when people are watching, you start making choices based on how it looks instead of how it feels. You start reacting to comments instead of responding to each other. And slowly the connection becomes a product, not a sanctuary. So you begin to move quietly. You keep your plans between the two of you until they're stable. You stop feeding outsiders information they can distort. You protect the bond with boundaries, not because you're afraid, but because you're serious. What's sacred gets guarded. And the funny part is, the less you explain, the stronger you become, because privacy creates peace, and peace creates longevity. When your relationship becomes a safe, quiet place to build, you don't just survive pressure, you outgrow it.